Manchester City are looking to devour some cherries, but this season the cherries have been out of season. They've been very, very sour. They're the real cherries, in fact. They're the proper ones, the ones in the fancy supermarket packages where you get stones in them. Oh, you get a bit of stone in them and then you get shit all over yourself. You're covered in cherry juice and you're pissed off. I wanted the artificial cherries, the sugar ones that go on top of cakes. That's what I wanted this season. The ones that we beat all the time. The ones that we smash to bits every time we face them. But instead, Manchester City are getting beaten by the real thing this season. The proper cherries are beating us and they look really good, and I'm not looking forward to facing them in the FA Cup. Make sure you tune in for the watch along this Sunday, 4:30 kickoff as well. We are the only side in the the traditional top six. I mean, what even is the top six anymore? You know, there's so many sides outside of it. United, Spurs, what are they? Traditional top six anymore? No, they're shit. Shit. But we are one of them, I would call ourselves, and we are probably the only one that would be considered to be the favourites now in this FA Cup tournament that we're left in as well. Because you look at these fixtures here, with the teams that are remaining in it, it's up in the air. Any one of those, apart from Preston, of course, could win it. You would definitely put City as the favourites on paper, but this season, I'm not so sure. You know, but the first game starts tomorrow at 12:15. Fulham versus Crystal Palace, flip of a coin. Brighton versus Forest, 5:45, flip of a coin. Preston versus Villa, you expect Villa to win. Bournemouth City, I would say with the fact that we're going away to the Vitality Stadium again, I'd say it's a flip of a coin. It's not an easy one to call, and we've already been there and lost this season. We got battered, in fact. It was a very flattering scoreline, 2-1. And I mean, you go and look at the stats from that game, and City were... on paper, you would say a lot of the ball. They had probably had more shots, less on target, mind you. But that's probably the point. The clarity of the chances that Bournemouth got against that City side, you know, they should have been more. It should have been 4 or 5 in reality on that day. And we got a consolation goal at the end of the game, and most of our shots did come in that final 20 minutes when we realised we're just nowhere near good enough. And that was a real wake-up call. One of the biggest games of the season that stood out to me as a moment where we are nowhere near at it this season. You know, there's the 4-0 loss against Spurs. I think that was a big one. And the Bournemouth away game where we just felt second best from start to finish throughout that game. It was a killer. And we're trying to enact some revenge against this Bournemouth side now. But you look at recent form in particular, where it's mixed. So that Bournemouth side that we faced again earlier on in the season, I think it was back in November, they're not the same Bournemouth side. They're a little less juicy, the cherry is. So, yeah, you look at the recent results. Brentford, they lost to most recently as well, which was not a surprise result, but it's still, considering the previous Bournemouth, not great. The Spurs game is a draw away. We did beat Spurs away, but they battered Spurs in that game. I don't know how Spurs came away from that game with a 2-2 draw. No idea. No idea. The Wolves game, the one win, in fact, 1 win in 5 from their previous 5 fixtures for Bournemouth. And the one that is considered a win wasn't even in 90 minutes. It was done on penalties against Wolves. So they're not in the greatest of form, Bournemouth, in all honesty, with a Brighton loss, a Wolves loss prior to that. And they did beat Southampton 6 games ago, which, yeah, I mean, similar to City, really. When you look at the fixtures that City have played recently, with the draw against Brighton most recently, a loss against Forest, 2 wins. Plymouth should be doing the business against them. I think you look at the fact that we faced Salford, Leyton Orient and Plymouth. Now we're facing Premier League opposition and we're actually going to be tested, you know, whereas Bournemouth have faced multiple Premier League opposition sides throughout this tournament. I think they knocked out Everton prior to them knocking out Wolves. So we've gotten lucky, and now it's come back. We're getting to, you know, to the knockout stages where it matters, and you're going to face one of the big boys. And I mean, I'm calling Bournemouth a big boy. I mean, which is an odd thing to even say, really. But yeah, the Liverpool and Real Madrid game as well for City, you can, who was surprised by that? Absolutely nobody. Let's have a look at the missing players, though, now for Bournemouth, starting with Dan, because there's some fantastic news if you're a City fan. Kirkes, suspended. Yellow card accumulation for Kirkes there, which is absolutely fantastic news. Dean Huijsen is out as well. He's also suspended. Julian Araujo and Luis Sinisterra and Marcos Senesi. Araujo and Senesi were actually training recently as well. They were in full training mode, so they should be available to play, even though they were doubts for this game. Sinisterra a little less so. But Enes Ünal and Adam Smith are long-term absentees. But the loss of Kirkes coming in down that left side for Bournemouth this season, he's been a potent weapon going forward for them this season in particular. He's a target for Liverpool as well, with the rumour suggesting that he could be wearing a Liverpool shirt next season, which just goes to show how well he's been playing. If you're being targeted by the likes of Liverpool, he's a fantastic player. He really is. And if he's not playing, which he isn't, suspended of course, Julio Sola is probably going to play instead. The young lad, the young Argentinian is probably going to play instead of him, which is, again, fantastic news for City. Less in the fantastic news department. Rodri, as expected, has been out all season. Akanji, Ake and Stones, 3 regular centre-backs, are missing as per, the last 3 or 4 weeks. They're probably going to miss the majority of the season. You've got Oscar Bob, Josko Vardiol and Bernardo Silva, who are a doubt. Oscar Bob got some minutes playing for the EDS squad recently, which is absolutely fantastic news. I mean, he's been an underrated miss this season because I thought he was doing fantastic in pre-season, and it was really disappointing for him to break his leg and be out for as long as he has been. So we'll have to wait and see if he gets any minutes this season, which would be an amazing news for City to bring a player of his quality back. Josko Vardiol picked up an injury in the international break. Again, rumoured to be not too bad, but we'll have to wait and see. And Bernardo Silva, of course, came on as a substitute and went off as a substitute in the previous game for City, so he's got a doubt surrounding him as well. But let's have a look at the predicted starting 11, starting with Bournemouth. Kepa, in between the sticks for Bournemouth. A proper dodgy keeper. He's got a bit of history with City. Who remembers the Chelsea final where he refused to come off? He just refused to be substituted and stayed on the pitch. I kind of admire the cojones to even do such a thing, but it cost people their jobs, put it that way. And I mean, Kepa was an absolute disgraceful attitude in all honesty. But yeah, I mean, I think he's an average goalkeeper who could be exposed if you start testing him. Zabarnyi in the defence for Bournemouth. Senesi is going to be alongside Zabarnyi. No Kirkes, so we're going to see Julio Soler most likely and Lewis Cook at right back for Bournemouth. I think we'll see Alex Scott in the midfield alongside Tyler Adams, who those two tenacious work rate. Technical ability is pretty good as well, to be fair to those two. So, a strong midfield. And it gets even stronger the closer you get to the front line. The front four in particular with Tavernier. And what is on Semenyo for Manchester City this season? What is the restaurant going to deliver? Let's have a look at Semenyo. And Kluivert is behind Evan Nielsen, who bagged the goal for Bournemouth in the previous fixture against Manchester City. So, speaking of City, Ortega or Ederson? Pep said it himself. Ederson should be fine. There's been mixed. People think Ortega's the cup goalkeeper usually, but Ederson did play against Salford. So I'm wondering whether Ortega played because it was Leyton Orient or Plymouth. Then I thought, well, Ederson played against Salford. So there's not really been a consistent cup keeper, not in the FA Cup anyway. So I think he's going to go with Ederson. At the back, we'll see Ruben Diaz, and I think we'll see Vardiol. That's more of a hope than anything. Husanov, the beast, in centre-back. Now, who do we play at right-back? For me, I don't think I want to see Rico Lewis in this game. Semenyo and Sol. Solas are not anywhere near the level of Kirkes, but still, I think we need a bit of pace down that right-hand side for Manchester City. So with that in mind, I'm going to play Mateus Nunes. We need a right-back. I mean, we need a right back. We really do, don't we? Absolutely. Nico Gonzalez in front of the back four, and I think he's going to go Gundogan. My preference would be Kovacic. Get in the comments below and let me who you want to see in that midfield for Manchester City tomorrow, because I think he's going to go with Gundogan, but I personally would like to see Kovacic in that midfield. In front of them, the out-of-sorts Phil Foden, who's not got much form to his name this season. I'm not sure he should be starting this game. Because of that, I think I'll play Marmoush, and then I'll play Jeremy Doku on the left, and then I will play Savinho on the right. Savinho's got a job on his hands today to try and expose Sola, who's not normally in that back four for Bournemouth, someone who's could be a little bit raw, could be easily exposed. Savinho, we need you to do the business, and the dribbling and the amazing technique is fantastic when you're bringing that ball and you're carrying the ball, but we need to see your shooting boots, mate. Please Put your shooting boots on, for fuck's sake, man. How many chances has he missed this season? Just balloons it over the bar. He's got to work on his finishing, and I'm hoping to see him do that before the end of the season. But one man who doesn't usually need to work on his finishing is Erling Haaland. So I think he will go up front for Manchester City. I mean, who else? Who else really in this moment where Manchester City's season is there? This is it. This is the 90 minutes which probably will define our season. If we're knocked out, I'd say it's season over. And certainly in terms of silverware, obviously in terms of silverware, but in terms of excitement, in terms of something to grasp onto, to claim that your season was somewhat of a success, this is it. Because I think if we beat Bournemouth, I think with what's left in the tournament, obviously there's still teams that can beat us in there. So I wouldn't want to go as far as to say if we beat Bournemouth, we win the FA Cup, because I don't think that's a guarantee at all with the unpredictability of this Manchester City side this season. I'm just not convinced by saying such a thing. So, I mean, I've got no trust in them whatsoever this season. But you never know. FA Cup football, you need to turn up for the 90 minutes. Form goes out the window, really, in all honesty, because I do think it's that sort of tournament where you just have anything could happen. Absolutely anything could happen. And I'm hoping we can scrape over the line. I'm going to go 2-1. City win. City win. Come on, City. What are your predictions, Blues? Make sure you're tuning in for the watch long as well. Come and join me for that. Take care, Blues, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is typical City now, holding up silver.